Hey everyone, welcome back to Tactical Magic. This is Molly Mandelberg, your host, and I am very excited for the guest that we have today, a powerful leader, someone who creates a lot of amazing content out in the world and also showcases other brilliant leaders through a publication that we're going to hopefully talk about. And yeah, on this podcast, we talk about things far out as sound healing, things as strategic as how to launch a podcast. So today is going to be a more business and strategic minded episode for you.
It's not just about mastering technology. It's not just about brand or messaging. It's not just about making more money. It's about showing up in a big way so your people can find you. This is about bringing your most wild and authentic self into the hustle and grind. Welcome to Tactical Magic, a business strategies podcast for the warrior goddess entrepreneur.
Tammy Whalen-Blake is a personal development leader, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and unwavering optimist devoted to getting you out of your own way to live a balanced, successful life. Tammy's core values are success, time, and balance, which have made her a natural leader and a deep believer in the importance of life beyond the workplace. I'm a big fan of that. She honors the lessons she learned on her painful journey of growth, which took her down a path of embarrassing mistakes, heartaches, redundancy, weight issues, and massive debt before she reached her glory. After turning her back on the corporate world, Tammy courageously built her own successful business, crafting systems that run like clockwork, empowering her team to believe in her mission and giving herself the freedom to do more in less time. Now she shares her lessons, experiences, and innate abilities to free others, setting them up on their own path to growth, guiding them as they design a fulfilled and purposeful life. Welcome to the show, Tammy.
Thank you for having me. And it's great to hear that bio being read out. I'm so focused on achieving more and being better and showing up in a better way to just live that fulfilled life, whatever that means to the listeners. But I forget about the painful journey that I went through. And I do journaling. I love journaling. If anyone is thinking about it, just do it. Try it out just once. Yeah. You won't regret it, and you'll make it part of your practice. Because those things in our past, they teach us something. And when I think about my being overweight, my redundancy, my dating, oh God, got a great story about that. Very embarrassing. But these things have shaped where I am today, but I didn't allow it to set my destiny. And it's always good just to go back and remember the journey that you've been on, because that will help propel you forward only if you're willing to receive the lesson and then apply the lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge daily journaling person, and I absolutely agree. And honestly, I think not just to recall how far you've come or where you were and learn the lesson from it, but journaling is also an amazing way to recognize your patterns. Like I've flipped through a journal recently and was like, oh my goodness, I've been doing that for the last few years. Is that something I want to keep doing, or do I want to change it? And that actually catalyzed a huge life change for me recently. That was super important. And the journaling really helped see that wasn't something that I was just experiencing now. It's something I had been doing for a time. Yeah, super helpful. So tell us a little bit. I mean, you don't have to share all the embarrassing secrets, but what has your journey been like? What was that, dark night of the soul that led to the success that you're having now? Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, of course. I'll start from the pivotal moment as a child. So I grew up in what I would describe as a toxic environment, but I didn't know it was toxic. I never heard of the word toxic before used in this way. So it was just my normal. But looking back, I lived in a home it was chaotic. My mum is a wonderful human. She has many qualities, things that really inspire me. For example, she's the biggest kid out there, and I love her energy and her silliness. It is just beautiful to watch. My mum is not great with time, focus. They are the two areas that it's just not her skills. It's just not. But what that meant to me as a child is that my mum would be out working a lot. She was trying to earn more money to provide for us. So very good intentions. It came from the right place. However, when you dive deep into her reasons, a lot of it was because she wanted to give off this perception that she was successful, that she had more and better. So she would work day and night. She wasn't a knowledge worker. She was a skilled worker. And so that meant she had to do more hours to get more income. What that meant to me was that when I needed my mum, and when I say needed her, it wasn't the money that I needed or the clothes. I needed her when I was sad. I needed her when I needed to confide in someone. I needed her to be present with me, and she was never that. So an example would be, she would get home from work. Now she's physically there, but mentally not there. You could talk to her, but it wasn't really processing. Because she was so exhausted, she would sit on the sofa and she was like passed out. And I did feel for her because her work was on her feet all day. So she was passed out. So just having that meaningful conversation, it went nowhere. And because of this, she would usually go from work, rest, and then go back to work in the evening. She was then stressed because she'd want to relax for as long as possible, but then she had to rush. And in that moment, everything was a mess. Nothing had her home. Her keys, every single day, she was trying to find them. Her boots, oh my God, her bloody boots. She has about 30 of the same pairs. So to find the specific boot was always a problem. So we were shouted at a lot. And I just felt like, what's the point of this environment? What am I getting from it? And I remember thinking to myself, I don't want to be like my mum. And I must have been around 14 years old. I just didn't want to be like her. And I said to myself, there must be another way. And so off I went on my journey to find another way. And I found things like people pleasing is toxic. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve your children. No one wins from it. No one, unless it's the person that wants to mistake your kindness for a weakness. Leeches, they win, but you don't really want them in your life. So I found ways to navigate that. I also found ways to navigate the whole busy status that, if I'm busy, I'm important. That meant nothing. And so I worked through that. I had to experience it first, mind, which my mistakes definitely come into that. But also there was I call it the best in my coaching practice. Some people may call it perfectionists or control freaks. I don't like either of those terms. A better term is someone who wants to be the best. They spend hours on their work, they dress a certain way, go on certain holidays just to have something to talk about. They have really high standards. And that was something I really suffered with because I naturally have perfectionism in me. Mm-hmm. I want to make things look amazing and be a certain way. So that was like a big journey of mine. And it took me to great places. My career, I worked for a large tech company. I leaped 10 years in my career. I built a lot of personal development foundations to leap, and it took me to places where I cut my hair short. I bought the blazer and I wore the heels just so that people would listen to me, get some authority from people. I wasn't Tammy. I was being something else to get to somewhere else. And that's where I experienced a lot of heartbreaks, a lot of debt, stupid stuff really. But I don't regret that. I don't regret it because I learned so much from that experience that now as a coach, I get to pass that information on to other people so they are fully aware of how they're behaving right now and what the impact would be to their future. I had a really good point and my brain has just gone off on a tangent. Well, so I'll come back to it in just a moment.
Yeah. I just want to highlight the beauty of how our entire lives are often like the training ground for the work that we do in these fields, and how all of those experiences led to these like very important values that you now carry, that people who need the support learning those same lessons can come to someone and actually like be held in the space of, I totally get where you're coming from and here's how we get to the other side of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it also gives you an opportunity to have those conversations with people so you learn of their perspective. When I went through that journey, I was very firm with my opinions and the way I was doing things, and other people would present something different. So an example, and your listeners would get this. When spiritual people would walk in my life, they would tell me, the universe is working for you. And that phrase came up, and my response every single time was, no, the universe doesn't work for you. You make stuff happen. You have a plan, you stick to your plan, you get it done. Opportunities come, you take it. I was very firm in that.
Mm-hmm.
And so by having those like really deep conversations, I had to be open to them. For a long time, I wasn't. I lived in my masculine mindset for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I just went, okay, well, I'll be open. And I spoke to the universe. I was being sarcastic. And I was like, all right, go on, universe, show me something. And it did. And I thought, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that. And so by going through that process, what I hear a lot of people say is that people that are spiritual speak woo-woo and it's up in the air. And I thought that way, but I get it now. And you really have to be in that space to welcome the information and go on a journey. Like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, you just end up the same person is the worst that could happen. Yeah, totally. So I want to dig into the name of your business because it's called Go to Yellow. What does that mean? What's that about?
Go to Yellow. Yellow is a symbolism. It's a symbolism for joy, fulfillment, growth, optimism. So many positive words associate with yellow. There is one association that's considered negative, but my optimistic brain makes it positive. And that's alert. So a lot of like road signs are yellow to say alert, be cautious. But I think that's a useful thing to be alert because then you're aware of what's in front of you. Mm-hmm. So that's my positive spin on it.
Yeah.
So yellow is, what I believe is that everyone is chasing fulfillment. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, at the top of it, it says self-actualization is the pinnacle. And so to me, it's fulfillment. To the spiritual listeners, it would be get into your crown chakra. Mm-hmm. And you go on a journey to get to that point. And what I see in the world is yellow people who, they wake up inspired. When children get up in the morning, they have big eyes. They come into your bedroom and they say, can we play now? And I love that. Mm-hmm. Why the hell have we lost that? Mm-hmm. It is not okay to live your life, I've got to get up now. Like, that breaks my heart. You get to get up. You get to live another day. Like, that should be something worth celebrating. But you only get to that point when you're yellow and you are high on life. So getting people to yellow is the journey. Now, life is not as simple as, everything's yellow. Mm-hmm. It's not. No one predicted the lockdowns and COVID. And so life was yellow for many. But then you could dip back into what I call grey. And grey is a place where people feel exhausted and overwhelmed. And you can tell a grey person because they're usually hunched over and really like drawn into themselves, plodding along. So you can come out of yellow, but the point of yellow is to have tools to help you and guide you back to that place in a way that works for you.
Awesome. And some of the ways you help people do that, I know, are like you mentioned, your mom had no time, and that time is a key component in getting to yellow. Tell
Absolutely.
us about how that works.
Yeah, so to my core, time is everything. It's my core value. In fact, I call it quality time because it's not just time in itself. It's quality, meaningful time, setting your intentions. So with one of my coaching programs, it's about productivity, doing the right things. But some people don't understand what they need to do. And we live in a world where everything is overwhelming. There's information coming from everywhere. And with social media, it's hard to avoid these distractions. So if you're a person who's not sure of their future, what happens is that you'll plod along and you're influenced by others because you're trying to find your way in the world. And I describe life like driving a car. You're trying to get to your destination, but if you have no map, you have to have other people to guide you, and they are co-drivers. You have expectations, which are things like be a good sibling or be the doctor your parents always wanted. You also have, self-expectations as well. There's also social norms that will go in your car, and that's climb the career ladder, have a baby, get the house, all those fun things. But you also have in the car the promoter, and that's the news. That's someone promoting their agenda. It's the latest trends or fads. There's so much out there. And so this is just noise, and social media amplify it. And so when you're driving, to your desired future. A lot of people spend time in social mediaville. That's what I call it. It's like a place that you visit daily. And if you have a
it's
look,
all roundabouts.
oh my God, yeah, it really is. It's such a waste of time, but it's being aware of how much time you put into it. And it's fine if social media is your business and you sell services on social media, hell yeah, spend time in there, because that's accelerating you to get to your desired destination.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going there to beat yourself up, to compare yourself against someone else, you are wasting your time. It's like an energy drainer, like fuel coming out of your vehicle, and it's going to slow you down on your journey. So this is just a lot that's going on. There's many examples that I have, of which we wouldn't have time for today. But in essence, I help people to understand where they are spending their time and knowing their future. Where do you really want to be? And it has to be a detailed plan for your entire life. So it's not just about the workplace. That's one part of success, but it's not the full picture. It's your health, it's your family, it's your wealth, it's your friends, it's your fun and recreation. So we need to understand, what is it that you actually want, so you are unapologetic about it and you go for it.
Mm-hmm.
I am like the cheerleader. It's like, yes, go for it. You can do this. But I'm also the person that rationalizes. So it's, okay, we're driving. We've come to a junction. You could take this route, but the consequence of that is this. Or you could take this route, and that's the consequence of that. Which do you want to take? So I never tell anyone what to do. I just give them that perspective, and they make their choices, and then they go after it. But we always assess, was that the most productive thing to do? And it usually brings up some sort of belief or pattern, like you said earlier, that you might be reliving. And that teaches you something. And again, you get the opportunity to assess, is this what I want? Yes, no? Okay, that's fine. Let's take some action. Mm-hmm. And we get them to the point that everything is yellow and life is fantastic.
So much fun. So I love that metaphor. And I just was imagining having all those people in your car while you're trying to navigate to a place you don't know where you're heading to is like so confusing. And like every stop sign, you can't read the sign of what street you might be turning onto. And then having this plan, it's almost like I was imagining a straight road that just heads to where you're going. And maybe there's trees on both sides, and maybe there's music playing instead of all this noise in the backseat. And it's just a completely different experience to have a focus and to know which direction you're moving versus like wondering and kind of going with whatever everybody else is telling you to do. And it's, yeah, that's a totally different energy. I really appreciate that metaphor. And balance is one of the things you talk about as well. So I'm imagining work-life balance, but also just the balance that we find in our own lives. Would you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So I mentioned about consequences. I can give you an example about my life vision. So in about 5 years' time, I will likely be a mum. I say likely because there's some things I can't control. So that's part of my plan. If I'm going to be a mum, what type of mum do I want to be? I don't want the life that my mum gave to me. So what's important is that I'm fully present with my child. So I need to be able to have time with them. So I need to be physically there. I also need to be in the right frame of mind, so I can give them the emotional space that they need. I also need to be physically able. I see myself going on holidays with my children and being the parent that gets into the swimming pool, and I can throw my child into the air many times when they say, again, 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 and I can do that. Now, that's important to me. So when I reverse engineer, okay, what steps do I need to take? Which roads do I need to take? I have to be very clear on the consequence. So right now, it's important to me to grow my business because I see this franchise business. By 2025, other people would sell my method and I would make an income from that. So that means I don't have to be the face of the business anymore. I can just do light touch, but I can go off and be mum, but I've got the income to do all the things that I want to provide for my child. Now, if I was to be presented with a stop sign, I think about the consequence, and this is where balance comes in. It's, okay, so if let's think, let's go with fun and recreation. Travel, let's say it's travel. I could travel abroad for 6 months. That sounds amazing. That's lovely. I can experience the culture. I love eating different kinds of foods. That would be wonderful. But there's things I'd have to think about. So 2 things that comes to mind. One is my business. If I'm traveling, it is very likely I'll have less time for the business. Is that the right decision? I'd also need to consider, I love the food. So if I eat all the food, how is my health being impacted by that? So there's always a consequence. So I really think that through. And it's like, okay, I can still go abroad, but I need to think about the balance. So if I travel 6 months, 3 months of that, I would need to assign to my work so that I can be impactful, so I can be that mum.
Mm-hmm.
With my health, it might be, okay, you can eat out once a night, but you need to prepare your own food for for breakfast and lunch, let's say. And that needs to be really balanced. So in the evening, I could be a little bit naughty, but in the morning, I need to be balanced. So it's thinking all of that through. What is the balance of all your decisions? Of what's the impact in the long run and also the short run?
Yeah. It's like master planning your life so that you still get where you want to go and can have what you want to have.
Yes.
Yeah. And I like thinking about that too, of looking at where do I actually want this business to go? Because I know a lot of us get in and we're in this kind of thought leader kind of business. And we're looking at it as I want to get clients or I want to make enough money so I can quit my job, and not even paying attention to what's the longer term vision. What do you really want this business to look like? How do you actually want to be supported by it for the long term? Or do you want to be seeing clients one-on-one for the next 50 years until you can't possibly do it anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's really valuable to look at what are those future targets and what can I do today to set myself up for that? Yeah. Super powerful. What are some of your other tips for people? I mean, some people just don't know what they want. How do you support people with that?
Yeah, I come across this quite a lot. And this is where the co-drivers are a problem because they are just noise. Just so you know, the co-drivers are not other people. It is your thoughts. It's you. So you can fix it. But where do you start? Well, like I said at the beginning, journaling is a fantastic exercise. And you can just go onto Google, type in journal prompts to find myself or for self-discovery, and you'll probably find at least 40 different prompts. Pick one a week. It's a great starting point. But anytime you go through your journaling, ask yourself, is this what I want? And just sit with that, because a lot of our decisions are for what other people want. So it could be that, you spend so much time with your loved ones, maybe it's your partner, and they are projecting their way of living onto you. It's just natural. It's them communicating and being and loving life. That's fine. But sometimes we take that as our own because we try to people please them and go, oh yeah, I'll do the same just because I want to, experience this with you or for you to love me more. So you really need to think about, is this what I want? If it's not, just be real with yourself and just scribble it out. When you've got an idea of what it is that you want, test it out. So you may come up with a list of different activities. Maybe you're trying to find out what lights you up. Maybe it's fun and recreation. Create a bucket list and then go through them and try it. If you didn't get that sense of joy, delete it. Don't even think twice about it. It's fine. It's gone. Move on to the next thing. And then you find yourself from that. Like, there's no perfect person. That doesn't exist. You are who you are. You like what you like. Go for it and be unapologetic about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. It's just such an invitation to explore and experience and to try things. Get curious with yourself. What is it that you really like? What do you want to play with? And fun and recreation, I mean, not enough people are talking about that. Have hobbies, try things, play games, get back to that sense of experiencing your life.
Yes. I have a client who says he makes jams and he's got this vision of getting an award in the UK. There's an award, the Good Food Awards, and he wants to get that on his jams. And I'm excited by it because when he talks about it with me, it's so exciting. But in his mind, and this is the words he says, they're my pet projects. And I brought it to his attention. I said, oh, look, you call them pet projects. You already devalue what they are by just calling it pet projects. These are your passions. Embrace them, go for it. And by doing so, other people are drawn to it. So he had no idea how excited I was by his passion. So I just brought it to his awareness. It's like, actually, it's a great topic to talk about because I can see the happiness in your eyes and I'm drawn to you from that. You know, I don't have an interest in jams, but I'm interested in your interest. It's quite exciting to see people light up when they really are connected to what they love.
Yeah. And it can be as simple as jam.
Jam.
Yeah, that's his jam. Awesome. Well, we only have a couple minutes left, so I want people to know how to find you and follow you and some of the great things that you're up to. So what are the best places for people to look you up and connect?
Absolutely. You can type in Go to Yellow into any social platform and you will find me. There's no other company out there called Go to Yellow. So that's an easy place to start. What I would recommend people do. I have a magazine, a monthly magazine. It was an accident. I created it because I like designing things and I didn't want a generic newsletter. I wanted to stand out. And so I came up with this magazine idea and I love it every single month. In fact, I launch one tomorrow. So I've just finalized it. It's ready to go. But the whole magazine is about creating that yellow world. So there's top tips in there, there's coaching tools, and more importantly, there's stories, but they are stories to inspire positive change. Now, you might not be willing to change, but the way in which it's written is to expand your mind. And when you're ready to invite it in, you will know what to do because we always put some action steps in every single article. And then you can go after what it is you want and to be yellow. So subscribe to the magazine. It's 99p a month. The money I make from it, I donate to a local charity. It's a mental health charity. So I'm really passionate about helping people to be in a position where they're stable, because coaching is for people who want growth, but you need to be stable first. So I can't help people with mental health issues. Instead, a way in which I could help is through funding. And this magazine will also help fund someone with their mental health. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, win-win-win. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Very cool. So yes, look up Go to Yellow. Go find Tammy Whalen-Blake and read her beautiful magazine. Hopefully I'll have an article in there at some point soon. I've got to put that back on my list because it fell off the wagon.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I just like to ask this as the last question of every episode. You've shared a lot of beautiful wisdom with us today, but what are some last words of wisdom you'd want to leave people with?
I would like to say, if you're happy with where you are today, you have driven the right path, the right roads for you. But if you're not happy, assess what you want, design your map, your future map, what you really, really want to do, and just go for it. You will find the right route for you. You will learn, you will grow. And if you are ever having a day where you feel a little bit down, where you can't come up with solutions, you're not feeling optimistic, just look around the room, look for some yellow. That's the sign from the universe. And it's telling you there is another way. Just be patient. There is another way. Brighter days are coming.
Love it. And I love that you say it's a sign from the universe after you used to be woo opponent. Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show, Tammy. And thank you everyone out there for listening. We will catch you again next week for another episode of Tactical Magic. Whatever happens, keep asking big questions and taking bold action because you're here for a reason.